The motel didn't look like something people used. It looked like something people forgot. A long, low building stretched along the side of a cracked highway, its faded sign barely hanging from a rusted pool. Half the letters were gone. The rest flickered weakly even in daylight, like they didn't know why they were still there. The parking lot was empty. Not just empty, abandoned. Weeds pushed through the asphalt. Old oil stains marked places where cars used to sit years ago. A broken soda machine leaned against the wall like it had given up. And at the center of it all, the motel. Rusted doors. Cracked windows. Curtains stiff with dust. No movement. No sound. No life. "This is it?" my sister asked quietly. I didn't answer right away, because if I said yes too fast, it would feel real. And if it felt real, it might feel like a mistake. I stepped forward slowly. "Yeah," I said. "This is it." 3 days earlier, we had a place to stay. Not a good place. Not a permanent one. But it had a roof, and it wasn't falling apart. And it didn't make you feel like the world had already moved on without you. Then our uncle changed his mind. "You're 18 now," he said, standing in the doorway like he didn't want to come any closer. "And she's 16. My sister, Mara, crossed her arms. So it's not my responsibility anymore." There it was. Simple. Clean. Final. I stood there for a second, waiting for something else. An explanation. A reason. Something that made it make sense. But nothing came. "Where are we supposed to go?" Mara asked. He didn't look at her. "You'll figure it out." That was the answer. The only one we were going to get. 2 hours later, we were standing outside with 2 bags and a total of $9. Everything we owned. Everything we had left. Mara adjusted her backpack. "You think he'll change his mind?" "No." She nodded. "Yeah." She didn't ask again. Mara never wasted time on things that weren't going to happen. That was one of the reasons we made it this far. And one of the reasons we might make it further. We walked. Because staying meant thinking. And thinking meant realizing how bad things actually were. So we kept moving. Out past the houses. Past the last working gas station. Past the edge of town, where everything started looking older. Slower. Forgotten. That's where we saw the sign. It was barely hanging from a bent metal frame. County liquidation. Properties for sale. Underneath it was a list. Old buildings. Closed businesses. Things no one wanted anymore. Things the county just wanted gone. Mara stepped closer. "Look at this." I read the lines slowly. Storage unit. Farm shed. Abandoned diner. And then, roadside motel, $7. I stared at it. "You're kidding." She shook her head. $7. That's not possible. Apparently it is. I looked down the road. And there it was. Not far. Just past a curve where the highway dipped slightly. The motel. Even from a distance, it looked like it had already been erased from everything except the land itself. "No one wants it," Mara said. "Yeah. That's why it's $7. I didn't respond. Because she was right. And that was the problem. Or the opportunity. The county office didn't ask questions. That was the strangest part. We walked in, asked about the motel, and the clerk barely looked up. "You understand the condition of the property?" she said. "Yeah. There are no utilities connected." "That's fine. It's been unoccupied for over a decade." Mara placed 7 wrinkled dollars on the counter. "That's fine." The clerk stared at the money for a second, then at us, then shrugged. "Your problem now." 5 minutes later, we owned a motel. Standing in front of it felt different the second time. Ownership does that. It doesn't fix things, but it changes how you see them. The broken windows didn't look like damage anymore. They looked like repairs waiting to happen. The empty rooms didn't feel abandoned. They felt unused. I pushed open the front office door. It creaked loudly. Dust moved through the air in slow clouds. The smell hit immediately. Old wood. Stale air. Time. Mara stepped in behind me. Wow. Not impressed. Not disgusted. Just taking it in. The office was small. Counter. Old register. Shelves along the back wall. Most of it empty. Some papers scattered across the floor. And behind it, a hallway leading to the rooms. I walked through. Opened the first door. Room 1. Bed frame. No mattress. Broken mirror. Cracked ceiling. But the walls were still standing. The structure held. That mattered. Mara opened another door. Room 2. Same story. Empty. Worn. But intact. She looked back at me. "This isn't as bad as I thought." "It's bad." "Yeah. But not gone." That was the difference. Not gone. We spent the first day just exploring. Walking through every room. Checking every door. Testing every floorboard. The motel had 12 rooms total. Some worse than others. A few had roof damage. 2 had collapsed sections of ceiling. But most were still usable. With work. A lot of it. But possible. That night, we stayed in the office. It was the most enclosed space. The easiest to block off. We pushed a desk against the door. Covered broken windows with old boards we found in one of the rooms. It wasn't perfect, but it blocked the wind. That was enough. Mara sat on the floor, back against the wall. You think we can fix this? I looked around. At the space. At the building. At everything we had just taken responsibility for. Not all at once. But eventually? I nodded. Yeah. She smirked slightly. Good. The next few days became work. Constant. Focused. We cleared debris first. Room by room. Swept out dirt. Removed broken furniture. Stacked anything usable. We found things. Tools left behind. Old wiring. Even a few sealed boxes of supplies in the storage room behind the office. Nothing major, but enough to help. The structure slowly started changing. Not dramatically, but noticeably. Each room we cleaned felt like progress. Like movement. Like something building. The biggest surprise came on the 4th day. Mara was in one of the back rooms when she called out. Hey! I walked over. What? She pointed at the floor. Near the far corner. This doesn't look right. I stepped in. Looked closer. The floorboards were different there. Darker. More worn. And when I stepped on it, it sounded different. Hollow. We both froze. Then looked at each other. That's not normal, she said. No. I grabbed a crowbar from the pile of tools we had collected. Wedged it between the boards. Pushed. The wood resisted. Then, gave. The board lifted. Dust filled the air. And beneath it, concrete. Not dirt. Not foundation. Concrete. Mara crouched down. Keep going. I did. One board. Then another. Until a square opening appeared. A hatch. Built into the floor. Heavy. Reinforced. Hidden. We both stared at it. The motel suddenly didn't feel like just a building anymore. It felt like something else. Something bigger. Something we hadn't seen yet. Mara looked at me. Tell me that's what I think it is. I didn't answer. Because I already knew. The motel wasn't just abandoned. It was hiding something. And whatever was under that floor was about to change everything for us. We didn't open the hatch right away. That was the first instinct. Rip it open. See what's inside. Figure it out fast. But fast decisions are the ones that get you in trouble. And right now, we couldn't afford trouble. Mara crouched beside the opening, brushing dust away from the edges of the metal. This isn't random, she said. No. The hatch was thick. Reinforced steel. Not something you just install for storage. Not something you forget about. It had been placed there on purpose. Hidden. Protected. Someone wanted this covered, she added. Yeah. And not easily found. I nodded. That part mattered. Because it meant whatever was underneath was important. Or dangerous. Or both. We do this right, I said. Mara leaned back slightly. How? We check everything first. Like what? The room. The structure. If this thing opens, we need to know it's not going to collapse half the floor with it. She exhaled slowly. Okay. We spent the next hour preparing. Not rushing. Not guessing. We cleared more space around the hatch. Removed loose boards. Tested the surrounding floor. Everything held. Solid enough. Then we checked what we had. Flashlight. Barely working, but usable. Crowbar good. A small metal pipe. Could help with leverage. And one of the old lanterns we had found earlier. Still broken. But we kept it anyway. Mara looked at me. You ready? No. She smirked. Good. The hatch didn't open easily. It had been sealed by time more than anything else. Rust had locked the edges tight. I wedged the crowbar into the seam. Pushed. Nothing. Again. Harder. A faint shift. Dust fell into the gap. Mara leaned in. Again. I did. This time, the metal gave slightly. A low grinding sound echoed through the room. The kind that made it feel like something was waking up after a long time. We worked at it slowly. Carefully. Until finally, the hatch lifted. Just enough. Cold air rushed up from below. Not sharp like outside. But deep. Still. Old. We both froze. Listening. Nothing. No movement. No sound. Just silence. Mara whispered. Okay. I grabbed the flashlight. Shine it down. Concrete steps. Narrow. Descending into darkness. I felt something shift in my chest. Because that changed everything. This wasn't a crawl space. This wasn't storage. This was built. We go together, Mara said. Yeah. No argument. No hesitation. We moved the hatch fully open, propped it so it wouldn't fall, then stepped down. The air changed immediately. Cooler, but stable. No wind. No movement. Just stillness. Each step echoed slightly, then faded. At the bottom, the space opened. Not huge, but enough. A long rectangular room. Concrete walls. Steel support beams. And along both sides. Shelving. Full. Not empty. Full. Mara stopped halfway down the stairs. No way. I didn't answer. Because I was already looking. Already processing. Already realizing what this meant. The shelves were packed. Not randomly. Organized. Metal containers. Wooden crates. Boxes sealed tight. Everything placed with purpose. Not abandoned. Preserved. I stepped off the last stair. Moved closer. Opened one of the smaller containers. Inside. Canned food. Sealed. Protected. Still intact. Mara opened another. Medical supplies. Bandages. Antiseptic. Tools. Better condition than anything upstairs. She turned slowly. This is a bunker. Yeah. And not a small one. No. Not small. Not temporary. This was long-term. Built to last. Built to survive something. Look at this, Mara said. She pointed toward the far wall. A larger structure was built into it. Metal. Connected to pipes running along the ceiling. I walked over. Examined it. A generator. Old. But intact. And beside it, fuel containers. Sealed. My pulse picked up. Okay, I said quietly. Okay, what? This changes everything. Mara moved toward another section. What about water? I followed her. At the far end. A tank. Large. Built into the wall. With pipes leading into it. I tapped it. Solid. Not empty. Or at least. Not completely. Try it, she said. I hesitated. Then turned the valve slowly. At first. Nothing. Then. A low movement. A shift in pressure. And finally. A slow stream of water. Mara stared. You're kidding. No. This wasn't just a bunker. This was a system. Food. Water. Medical supplies. Power. Everything someone would need. If the outside world stopped working. We didn't speak for a while. Just moved through the space. Checking. Opening. Understanding. Each new detail made it clearer. Whoever built this had prepared for something serious. Not a few days. Not a few weeks. Long term. Mara sat down on one of the crates. So what now? I leaned against the wall. Took a breath. Because the answer had just changed. Before, we were fixing a motel. Now, we had something bigger. Something that could last. We moved down here, I said. Fully. Yeah. What about the rooms? They still matter. But this? I gestured around. This is the real place. She nodded slowly. Yeah. I get that. We went back up. Grabbed what we needed. Moved it down. Not everything. Just essentials. Clothes. Tools. Anything useful. Then we closed the hatch partially. Not sealed. But hidden again. Because that mattered too. If we found this, someone else could. That night felt different. Not because things were easier. But because they were controlled. The bunker held heat better. The air stayed stable. The noise of the outside world. Distant. Muted. Mara sat near the wall, watching the small fire we started in the lower stove system. This place was built for something bad, she said. Yeah. You think that thing already happened? I thought about it. About the motel above. About the way everything had been left. Maybe. Or maybe it never came. She looked around. At least someone was ready. I nodded. And now we are. The next few days became about understanding. Not just using the bunker. Learning it. Every system. Every corner. Every detail. We tested the generator. It took time. Adjustments. Cleaning. But eventually, it started. A low hum. Steady. Reliable. Light flickered on in parts of the room. Not bright. But enough. Mara laughed softly. No way. Yeah. We had power. Actual power. That alone. Changed everything. We organized everything again. Better this time. More efficiently. We created sections. Food. Water. Tools. Medical. Fuel. We tracked what we used. What we had. What we needed. Because now, this wasn't just survival. This was management. The motel above started to make sense too. It wasn't just a building. It was cover. A way to hide what was underneath. No one looks twice at something broken. No one questions something forgotten. That was the point. A week later, the first sign came. Not inside. Outside. We heard it from below. Faint. But real. A sound. Muffled. through the ground. Mara looked at me. That's not wind. No, it wasn't. It was something else. Movement. Distant. But getting closer. I stood up slowly, looked toward the stairs. Because whatever was happening above, we weren't the only ones out there anymore. And suddenly, the motel didn't feel as empty as it had before. We didn't move right away. That was the first instinct. Run upstairs. Check. See what was making the noise. But instinct gets you exposed. Thinking keeps you alive. Mara stayed still, eyes locked on the ceiling. You hear that again? She whispered. I did. Fate. A dull scraping sound. Then a pause. Then movement again. Slow. Uneven. Not the wind. Not the building settling. Something moving across the motel above us. We're not the only ones out here, she said. No. That part was clear. The question was, who? And why here? I grabbed the flashlight. Checked the battery. Weak, but usable. Mara picked up the metal pipe we had been using earlier. Not much, but better than nothing. We checked together, she said. Yeah. Slow. Always. The stairs felt different now. Not just a path. A line. Between safe and unknown. We moved up carefully. Each step controlled. Listening more than moving. At the top, I paused. The hatch was still slightly open from earlier. A thin line of light slipped through. But something was different. The air. It moved. Subtle, but enough to notice. I pushed the hatch just enough to look through. At first, nothing. The room was the same. Dust. Broken boards. The gap in the floor. Then, a shadow moved across the doorway. Fast. Gone. Mara leaned closer. What is it? Someone's here. Her grip tightened on the pipe. Inside. Yeah. We didn't rush out. That was the mistake people make. They hear something. They react. We waited. Listened. The footsteps came again. Closer now. Moving from one room to another. Slow. Careful. Not random. Searching. They're checking the place, Mara said quietly. Yeah. For what? I didn't answer. Because I already knew. Shelter. The same reason we came. The same reason anyone would. We stayed below for a few more minutes. Let the sounds move. Track the pattern. They weren't staying in one place. They were checking everything. That meant two things. They didn't know about the bunker. And they weren't settled yet. That gave us time. We can't just hide, Mara said. I know. If they find this. They won't. Not unless we let them. She looked at me. Then what? I thought about it. About the supplies. The structure. The systems. Everything we had just found. Then about the person upstairs. Cold. Searching. Desperate. The same as we were. 3 days ago. We talked to them, I said. Mara blinked. Seriously? Yeah. That's risky. So is everything else. She hesitated. Then nodded. Okay. We opened the hatch slowly. Quiet. Controlled. Climbed up. The motel felt different now. Not empty. Occupied. Alive in a way it hadn't been before. I stepped into the hallway. Mara just behind me. We moved toward the sound. Room 3. The door was open. Inside. A man. Late 20s, maybe. Layered and worn clothing. Digging through debris. Looking for anything useful. He froze when he saw us. We froze too. 3 people. Same situation. Same realization. You live here, he asked. No. You just got here? Yeah. He looked around. Then back at us. Same. The tension stayed for a moment. Unspoken. Measured. Then shifted. Not gone. But different. He stepped back slightly. Hands visible. Name's Daniel, he said. Mara, she replied. I nodded. He looked at us again. You find anything useful yet? I hesitated. Then answered honestly. Yeah. His eyes narrowed slightly. Like what? I glanced at Mara. Then back at him. Enough. He understood. You could see it. Not everything needed to be said. Especially not yet. We didn't bring him down immediately. That wasn't how this worked. Trust wasn't given. It was built. But we didn't push him out either. That wasn't who we were. Stay in the front rooms, I said. Don't mess with the back. He raised an eyebrow. Why? Because we said so. A pause. Then, he nodded. Fair. That night, we stayed below. Listened. Waited. No movement near the hatch. No signs he was searching further. Good. But things had changed. We weren't alone anymore. And that meant something else. Others might come too. The next few days confirmed it. Not all at once. But gradually. Another person. Then 2. Then more. Word spread the only way it could. Someone found the motel. Survived the night. Told someone else. And when things got bad enough, People came, looking for anything. Anything at all. We made a decision early. Together. The motel stays open. The bunker stays protected. That was the balance. We helped where we could. Shared space upstairs. Cleared more rooms. Made the place usable. But the lower level. That stayed controlled. Managed. Because if everything went at once, then no one would survive. Mara handled most of the people. She was better at it. Reading them. Knowing who needed help. Who could help. I handled the structure. The systems. Making sure everything kept working. Because if that failed, everything failed. The storm came 2 weeks later. The real one. The kind that shuts everything down. Freezes everything solid. Stops movement completely. By then, we were ready. The motel filled up fast. Every room used. Every space occupied. People who would have never looked twice at a place like this now depended on it. And underneath, the bunker held steady. We rotated people when needed. Shared heat. Shared water. Shared everything. Because now, it wasn't just about us. It was about everyone there. Mara stood beside me one night, looking across the rooms. People resting. Eating. Breathing. Alive. You see this? She said. Yeah. This place. She didn't finish. Didn't need to. I nodded. It wasn't abandoned. No. It was waiting. The storm lasted longer than expected. Days turned into more. But the system held. Food rationed. Water controlled. Heat maintained. Everything worked. Because someone had built it that way. Long before we got there. When the storm finally broke, the world outside looked different. Quieter. Clearer. Alive again. People started leaving. Slowly. One by one. Going back to what was left of their lives. But not all of them. Some stayed. Helped rebuild. Fix. Improve. Because now, the motel wasn't just a building. It was something else. Weeks passed. Then months. The place changed. Not abandoned anymore. Not forgotten. Alive. Working. Functioning. Mara stood beside me one evening, watching the sunset over the highway. You ever think about what this was before? She asked. Yeah. And now. I looked at the motel. The rooms. The people. The structure beneath it. Then back at her. It's different now. She smiled slightly. Yeah. Better. We didn't just find a place to stay. We found something built to last. And we turned it into something that mattered. Not just to us. To everyone who needed it. Because sometimes, the things no one wants are the things that end up saving everyone. And all it takes is someone willing to see what they really are.